What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. NBA Talk with J Money and the Shark. Y'all know what it is. It's Sunday. We're trying to get some cash. This show is brought to you by Wager Talk. If you hadn't got any packages over there, man, you can go use promo code J1, full day of plays, whatever, NFL, college basketball, or NBA. But obviously, you come here for the free plays for NBA. But what's up with you, Shark? Everything cool with you, my guy?
Absolutely. Centering myself, 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. January 23rd, 2022, a sports fan's dream. Divisional football, 3 o'clock. Tom Brady, who thought he'd still be here 20 years later? A great day to watch sports, a great day to bet sports. We got matinee basketball, full slate all the way through a nightcap in the Chase Center. Dubs, Jazz, a lot to look at. J Money, let's talk about it. Let's dominate.
Yeah, man, ton to look at for sure. Ton to look at. Let's get straight into it, guys. It's all business here, man. We're going straight to the streets of New York here. We got the Clippers here versus the Knicks in a matinee spot. Like I say, 10 a.m. body clock game for the Clippers here, their first of the season. So we'll see if this is a sleepy spot for them or can they keep the train rolling. Obviously, they've been undervalued and they've been cashing tickets, right? The Knicks have been the opposite. This is the fourth game of a homestand. They've lost three straight home losses. So we will see. They do get Cam Reddish in there. We'll see if he's the nice little jolt of energy that they need. Obviously, they're coming off a game where they're booing. The crowd was booing them. So we'll see if the Knicks play for some pride here or if the Clippers can keep it going. Knicks are nothing for this better in this spot, Shark.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for me. I talk about this all the time. We try to get rid of biases in this capping sphere, in this endeavor we do. I really dislike betting early games. I just think it adds an element of unknown that is just purely based on human behavioral tendencies. These guys are not used to playing basketball at 1 o'clock. And as you said, Clippers are not used to playing basketball at 10 a.m. on their body time. Of course, they come in here off a backdoor win. And this is what they did on their last road trip. They did win the first game, and then they did not win the second one in Toronto, which we had correctly. Of course, this is a 7-game trip. I don't know what's going on at Staples Center or Crypto.com. I know the Lakers are on the road for 8 or 9 games as well. Some sort of Comic-Con or something.
The Grammys.
Not for 2 weeks, though. They're on the road for 2 weeks.
No, it's every year they have a Grammy road trip. They're going for a while. It takes them a shitload of time to set up. They do it every single year, but that's the explanation of it. Lakers and Clippers.
Okay, yeah. Well, regardless of that, 2nd of 7 off a win, you would like to take the Knicks here. I think you make a great point. Cam Reddish coming to the lineup. And usually I would say when you insert a guy into the lineup that it takes time to adjust. With this, where the Knicks have been so lackluster, of course, they're not used to playing ball with this guy on the court, but I think this could be a necessary emotional jolt for this group to really focus in and play a better basketball game. If I had to, I would lean Knicks. I don't love it. Of course, the Knicks did just lay down the Pelicans in one of their worst efforts of the year. So good bounce back spot, 1 o'clock MSG. I know the crowd's going to be live as hell there in New York. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Too bad it's not a national game. I'm not sure why the league doesn't put this on national TV. I mean, just slight adjustment that would help the fans, but nothing official. I think the under is potentially a decent look as well.
Yep, Knicks and the under. The only way I can look in that one, you see all the money coming in on the Clippers. The line hadn't budged at all, guys. I see a double-digit win by the Knicks here. Let's go over here to the streets of Washington, D.C. We got the Wizards here on a homestand, right? This is what, 7th game of their homestand. You got the Celtics off 2 bad losses, a double revenge spot as well. They've lost 2 straight to the Wizards here. Like I say, the Wizards don't have a point guard. I'll keep saying it. This team does not have a conventional point guard or true point guard, and teams like this, it really can come back to come and hunt them. Nobody to guard Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, as well. Wizards 1-8 against the spread last 9 games. I'd be looking at the Celtics in this one. Celtics are nothing for this bitter.
Yeah, and on a suddenly not so casual sharp Sunday, official play 3:30 p.m. Road Locker Room, Capital One Arena, Washington, D.C. You said it. Let's continue. Double revenge game. 2 games early season. 1 in Boston, 116-107 Washington. And an overtime loss in Washington, 115-112. Line functionality seems to matter. Boston was -4 at home, lost. It came all the way across the order here to -2 Washington, a 6 gap. Now it's come the other way. It opened at -1. So I was talking about this. When you win by 3 at home on a -2 and it opens at 1, they're telling you it's coming the other direction. And a key point here, we're talking about the reasoning behind losses and how they were constructed. When you lose in overtime, it's a pick'em loss. You're basically supposed to come back in the dispersion. Boston and Washington are very evenly matched, obviously. But I've been talking about this now for over a month. Washington has had the worst point per game differential in the Eastern Conference versus their record. They're still 23-23 on the campaign, but they're minus 1.5 points per game on the game-to-game ratio. Boston has a similar record, 23-24, but plus 1.5. All boxes are checked. I think Boston wins the game. I'm officially on the money line at minus 115. I wanted to drop plus 1 last night. Didn't get there. I was just getting steamed. I think this is sharp action exclusively. Best look on the early card by a mile. Boston money line. It's 115 to 120 anywhere you're looking. Official.
Yeah, I like the Celtics in this one as well. Like you say, especially with the double revenge spot as well. You got that Tatum going up against Bill. Celtics, the only way that I can look in this game, guys, I know in theory the Wizards been at the house for a while, but like I say, the Celtics off a couple of bad losses, as long as they come in here motivated to win this game, they got Marcus Smart back. You want to buy them when they have Robert Williams III in there as well. Celtics, I think it's definitely cashing today, guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Orlando. We got the Bulls versus the Magic. I would probably say the fish special of the day, but hey, it happens. Obviously, the Magic, the worst team in the league. 2-17 straight up at the house. I said even versus the Lakers, even versus that old ass team, the Magic just couldn't get it done, right? So you do find a double revenge spot in theory. The line is all over the Magic here. The Bulls very banged up as well. They're due to regress. You do have Terrence Ross that's questionable in this game, but like I say, Wendell Carter Jr. points, rebounds, assists over when he faces the Bulls. It's really that simple, guys. The team going up against the team that drafted them. This is especially one of those spots that I like to hone in on with props when they're going up against their team and have some added motivation. They were bringing him off the bench, but he still scored 19 points off the bench last game, had 5 rebounds and 1 assist. They'll likely start him today with him back going up against the Bulls. Look for Wendell Carter Jr. to go bunkers tonight to go over his points and rebounds, and points, rebounds, assists. I think that's the best look in this game. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see the Magic get them, Shark. They damn near won the game, only lost by 4. The Bulls had to come all the way back and win the last one. So the Magic showed, even on the road back-to-back, that they could bang against the Bulls, even when they had Levine as well. Lean Magic, I probably won't be betting this game, but Wendell Carter Jr. should be the best look in this one, Shark.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking at the line here. Bulls did lay down ATS at home. They were laying a whopping 13.5 points back, I believe, a month ago, something like that, and did win the game 102-98. As you said, so you get an Orlando revenge game. You do get that Bulls ATS revenge game, which I do worry about. However, we're going to talk about this later. I've been saying this as a schedule reset. There are 6 games, again, where teams have not played each other this year, and there's a lot of out-of-conference games. I don't think it applies here. In-conference revenge game is different. This is the absolute short figure of the day. This is the Joe Public special. Anybody on the Bulls, just beware. It usually doesn't come down 10 points because Vegas is saying, you know what? It's 7 points Sunday. It's divisional weekend. We want you guys to just have a handout. Here you go. It's just a present on a Sunday. Just be aware of that. And, of course, sometimes it hits and people say, Shark, you're an idiot. I understand that. Sometimes it hits. But just be aware long-term, taking super short sides like this will get you into significant trouble. Magic, of course, did just lay down home game 1 to the Lakers on a similarly short figure for the Lakers. But, again, out of conference, I do think it's different than in conference. Bulls have been cleaning up spreads at plus figures without their guys. I think now that they're laying could be an environmental change. If I had a free play, I would lean Magic. But again, Chicago here could hit the Joe Public side. It can be tough.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And if the Bulls do end up losing this one, it'll be the number 2 team in the East losing against the bottom team in the league. Not even just the East, the whole league over there. So we'll see what happens. I lean the Magic. I definitely won't be betting that game. I'd be looking at Wendell Carter Jr., PRA, point rebounds, all that good stuff, guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Miami here. Anthony Davis side might get him back. Me personally, the only way I can look at this game is the Heat. I mean, I probably won't be betting this game. It is a toss-up. I can see it going either way. The Heat, obviously, without their point guard, they're without Lowry and they're without Hero. Me personally, I don't really like to bet on the Heat without Lowry. They are the best team in the league coming off a loss. They're 12-14 against the spread this year coming off a loss. Also 6-0 against the spread last six games following the loss. They're 7-1 straight up, 6-2 against the spread last 8. They just play so much harder than the Lakers do. A lot younger guys as well. They're not using Ben Gay 10 times a day like this Lakers roster. You find a revenge game as well. Lakers laid 5.5 early this year. It went to overtime. They won 120-117. Now you have the Heat line open up at 4. Line is all over the Heat. Obviously, like I say, if they had Lowry or Hero, at least just one of them, I'd be all over the Heat here. You get Anthony Davis coming back for the Lakers. I don't necessarily think it'll matter. You still got a ton of old guys over there, and AD could be pretty rusty as well. He hadn't played in over a month. So I'd like to say only way I can lean the Heat here. This is a tough game. Could see it going either way. Stand off of it, Shark.
Yeah, and just as much as I said Cam Reddish, I think will be a jolt for the Knicks, an inspiration, a changeup that they need. I don't know if Anthony Davis coming back here is going to help the Lakers. It will help them going forward. But today, the first game back off a significant injury layoff, this is the type of stuff you want to avoid because these guys don't reintegrate fluidly with the group. Not to say the Lakers have been amazing without him, he will help. But again, it's about on-court fluidity. I don't think it's going to necessarily come today. I would lean Miami. Miami did lose in Staples. LeBron James did not play in that game, an overtime game, I believe, 120 to 117 going back to early season. So you do get a revenge game for Miami. Miami actually was laying 5.5 points there. Of course, adjusted for without LeBron. You come in here, it kind of shortens up a little bit. I really think this is going to be a sharp line. I think this could go either way. We talk about the unpredictability of teams like the Celtics and the Knicks. The Lakers also fit that model. Lakers are very unpredictable. They're on the East Coast, 3 o'clock start body time. I think this really could go either way. It's nothing that I'm trying to gamble on here.
Exactly, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Toronto. We got the Blazers here versus the Raptors, man. Blazers playing some good ball. They are on the last game before a 6-game road trip here, and then you got the unfortunately you have the Raptors first game back at the house after a 5-game road trip. So in theory, a couple of spots that you'd like to fade teams. Like I say, the Raptors. This game is up to 8. I can only look towards the Raptors, even though the Blazers been playing better. Like I say, no fans up there in Toronto. So what teams that's been coming into the gym aren't necessarily ready for that super boring game. Not a lot of crowd noise out there, except for the Suns, which even Devin Booker getting mad at the mascot, but whatever. New age players, man. There's no fans in the arena, but you get mad at the mascot behind the rim trying to distract you. But whatever, man. Only way I can look in this one is Raptors, Shark.
Yeah, I would agree. I wore the Raptors hat last night on Twitter. I'm not officially on this. I might finalize this, obviously, going forward 7 p.m. here. Or no, 6 p.m., excuse me, in Toronto, of course. The issue here for me, and this is something I'm going to discuss regarding this game, the 76ers Spurs game, and the Nets Wolves game. All 3 games are out-of-conference games where the line is jumping roughly 10 points. And my fear here is that we're just seeing over-adjusted averages where I think people are going to take the other side. Maybe not the Trailblazers, but people will definitely be on the 76ers. People will definitely be on the Nets. And I do think people can cash tickets here because I think, as I said, it's very like early season where books are just throwing these stock numbers out, where now you get these supposedly better teams on short numbers and these out-of-conference teams just don't show up on the figure. This is my fear here. Toronto is on a triple revenge game dating back to last year. They are on a one-off revenge game dating back to this year, 118-113. Portland going back early season. Of course, this comes in and opens at -7.5. I talk about this all the time in terms of line functionality. That's a 10.5 gap. That tells you a damn good story. My problem, again, is this adjustment could be over-adjusted. And, Jay, we've seen this. Since C.J. McCollum came back on this road trip, they have shown signs of being more competitive, particularly as a big dog. The only one they didn't cover was a backdoor effort in Miami. They, of course, got there in Boston outright. They have beaten a couple other teams, Orlando not being significant in any way. You want to take Toronto to hammer them, but I'm just a little worried that this is going to be an over-adjusted line, and Portland could scrap one together here without fans.
Exactly. No, I'm with you there. Raptors, the only way I could look in this one, open up at 7.5, it's up to 8. If the Blazers got down versus the Heat like that, they were winning the game. Jimmy Butler without all that, they still pissed it away and end up losing by 10. It just goes to show you how the Blazers can melt late in the game. If the Raptors come in here pissed off, they should win this game by double digits. I don't necessarily want to trust them laying this amount of points. If it wasn't their first game back at the house and their second game, I'd be all over them. In theory, this is 2 fade spots for me going up against each other. Last game of a road trip on the Eastern time zone for the Blazers, and then the Raptors' first game back at the house after 5 straight road games. They obviously got to take care of their wives, all type of stuff. So lean Raptors there, won't be betting the game. Let's go over here to the streets of Charlotte here. We got the Hawks here, open up at 3-point underdogs. It looks pretty nice to take the Hornets today. I must say this team has been hot at the house. When you want to bet on the Hornets, you want to bet on them at home. But the way that I'm looking at this game, the Hawks have been very lackluster. They're sitting at 11th in the East right now. They're due to come up a lot, in my opinion. I'm taking the Hawks here plus the 3.5. Like I say, it's moved up to 3.5 for the Hornets. I'll be putting some on the Hawks here plus the 3.5. I think they win this game outright, make it 4 straight wins. This team has turned the corner. They've showed that they're actually care about playing basketball again, starting to play some defense. Number 2 offense the last 5 games, whereas the Hornets, they've dropped down. They're actually trying to lean on their defense a little bit more, but with their offense dropping to 18th the last 5 games, just shows me that the Hawks can actually be the team that runs them out of the gym today. Give me the Hawks plus the 3.5. I know that they're on the road, but like I say, they need wins to climb up in the standings. They're probably looking over there at the Hornets like, oh, you guys been balling out. Let me show you who the real guys are now. I think the Hawks will make a really big jump and get a possibly top 5 seed in the East, but it starts now. I believe they flipped the switch. I'll ride the wave with them here, Sharp.
Yeah, you would want to. We've talked about this all year. This team is incredibly undervalued. And I made the comment going back a week or two. They were 5 games under 500 last year when they made a coaching change, and they, of course, proceeded to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're capable of doing it. It's just a matter of playing basketball. Trae Young had some awful quotes early season about not caring. And you made a comment going back to the Milwaukee game, I believe, that there was some sort of comment in the locker room. Maybe it was the Minnesota game where they came out flat and they actually apparently said enough is enough, which for these guys seems to be a big deal. They have to lose 35 freaking games to get pissed off, but now they're here. And we say this all the time. These contemporary players don't bring the juice. I mean, how many freaking games do you have to lose? And of course, they've had a lot of COVID. They've had injuries. I've talked about this. They had an awful travel schedule for over a month, tons of road games. They didn't have back-to-back home games for a month and a half. They got into their niche at home. Now they go back on the road in the division. And this is something that we're talking about again. I'll repeat it. You want to hone in on these matchups that are in the division, teams playing multiple times in the same conference in this particular calendar where you're seeing somebody out of conference matchups. I can't take a side here. I think 3 is going to be pretty sharp, but I do think getting 3 here on the road is advantageous. Of course, the last game was a 3-point Charlotte win on the road in Atlanta. Atlanta won the first one, 115-105. You get a revenge game, you get a good spot. I wouldn't talk you up.
Exactly. Yeah. +3, +3.5. I think the Hawks win the game with relative ease, guys. As long as they come to play here motivated, I think that they'll get this job done. With the Hawks again, Trae Young again. Let's make it 4 straight, guys. Let's go over here to the streets of San Antonio. We got the 76ers. Another fish special here. The Spurs have lost 6 straight to the 76ers. You get the revenge spot from January 7th. The line is all over the Spurs, which it should be, right? So I can't just say that the line's on them without letting you know that obviously the Spurs were down 3 players the last game. That's why the line was so high, and they were on a long road trip as well. But still, regardless, they have revenge. They're playing a little bit better basketball. 1 off for Philly coming on the road before heading straight back to the house for 5 straight home games. You were without Seth Curry. You're without Thibault. Remember, I said this last night on the video. Watch for this Thibault injury because you're going to really need him to go up against Murray or Derek White. The Spurs already have the major guard advantage. The only advantage that the 76ers have here is Embiid, obviously going for his auto 30. He's trying to get MVP. Like the 76ers could still win the game on the shoulders of Embiid, but the rest of the team, as far as like guards, the Spurs should absolutely eat them up here. I always talk about you going up against the Spurs. DeJounte Murray and Derek White are the X factors here. Without them having a true point guard as well, I can only look at the Spurs in this one, Sharp.
Yeah, I would agree. And this is, of course, one of the 3 that we're talking about here. My fear again here, and again, maybe I'm overthinking, and we all do it. But when I'm looking at these out-of-conference spots on these short lines, they're some of the hardest games for me to figure out in the entire calendar. Of course, as you said, the Spurs did get hammered in Philly by 19. They also got hammered in Philly last year by 35. And then they came home and they took Philly to overtime. Philly did get there, I believe, 113-111 in the spring. That's my fear here. I think this is just adjusted to what Philly did last year here. Of course, a 2-point win. I think it's right on the number. It's the same exact average as the result last year. I think this could be close. I want to take the Spurs. I'm just being a little hesitant today. These spots are confusing me. I'm just going to admit that. I don't always see it clearly. I think somehow the public could get hot here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I would never advise anybody to take the 76ers here. It's unequivocally the wrong numerical side. I just think we could be in a bit of a funky environment.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I hate that the 76ers come off that melt of last game, but still they could be a little bit down on themselves as well. We know that's what Doc Rivers do. He made your melt with you on that one. Spurs, the only way that this better could look in that one. Let's go over here to the streets of Dallas here. We got the Mavs versus the Grizzlies, inter-conference rival or whatever. It doesn't really matter as the whole course of the season, but when you find the top two in the conference, it matters. These two will come to ball against each other every single time. Like I said, the Mavs ended their 11-game win streak earlier this year, right? What do you think? Do the Grizzlies get some revenge here without Bane, Anderson, Tyus Jones? So they're even a less healthier team now, and they're on the road. You got the Mavs, the much more rested team here, come off 3 days of rest, 2 days of rest. They do have the Warriors on deck, however, but I still think the Mavs get this one done again over the Grizzlies.
Yeah, I'm going to look at this a little later. Of course, 7:30 p.m. here. Jay, you know it better than I do. American Airlines Center in Texas. I would lean Grizzlies here, and I would look more specifically at Grizzlies' first half. I'm going to start looking at halves and quarters a little bit more as we talk about game flow. What I'm looking at here is at the back end of the last sequence of games, Dallas came out with a very representative first quarter and first half against Phoenix, and then completely melted it off in the fourth quarter. I can't even say the fourth quarter. Jay, if you were watching the game, it was the last 4.5 minutes of the game. The fact that the Phoenix went on an absolute flurry to cover that game in the last 4.5. They were down 8 points with like 5 to go or something. It was an outrageous fourth quarter. But that being said, when you come out in that particular environment in an ultra fatigue spot for Dallas with a good first half, now you get the layoff. I think oftentimes it reverses. You come out more flat in the first half. And you see Memphis coming in here in a double revenge game. They got absolutely insulted the last particular game. But that was a fatigue spot for Memphis. This has been tough all year. These teams do play each other competitively, obviously, within the division. This is the fourth matchup. The line is not telling us a story. It's kind of all over the grid. If you're a big favorite, it doesn't seem to matter. If it's short, it doesn't seem to matter. It's more motivation. I think Memphis has more motivation here. And we talk about this all the time. Memphis, with or without their players, can turn it up a notch that most can't. I think they could get there in a 3.5. I might hone in on this later. But I do think first half Memphis is probably the best look.
Yeah, I don't think so. I could maybe see first half, but full game, you see this line up from 3.5 to 4 with most of the money on the Grizzlies here. They're not a healthy team right now, guys. They went and smacked up the Nuggets. That's the Nuggets. This is the Mavs. In theory, the Mavs are still sitting behind the Grizzlies in the playoff race. I'm pretty sure they're going to look at this game exactly like the Hawks versus the Hornets. Hold on, guys. Wait a minute. You think you're super nice? Let me let you know who the big dogs are. Let's climb back up in the race here. Let's win this division over here. So I do think that the Mavs take this game serious. They're the more rested team. The Grizzlies have a ton of injuries right now. Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks, Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane. Bane would be the X factor coming back to Dallas. He's from Fort Worth. He will ball out here. Not today. He'll be not even in the arena, guys. So you got the Mavs 5-0 against the spread. Last 5 games coming off a loss. They've won 5 of last 7 meetings. Conference rival. They want to catch up. Unfortunately, they have the Warriors on deck on the road, but much more rested team. Then you get Steven Adams and Brandon Clark questionable here. We'll see what happens with that. Regardless, only way I can look in this one is the Mavs. I know that the narrative revenge spot for the Grizzlies, I don't see it in this game. It's not fanboy. It's just literally saying that Mavs played really well versus the Grizzlies. They beat them on the road. Now they're back at the house off a loss with more rest as well. Mavs, the only way I can look in this one, guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Minnesota. We got the Timberwolves versus the Nets, guys. The Nets, on the road again. I always say it. When they going to ball out? It's going to be on the road when they still have Kyrie. Still a tough travel spot. 4th straight road game. You got the Timberwolves 6-1-1 against the spread. Last game coming off a loss. 4-0 against the spread. Last 4 coming off a double-digit loss. When they get blown out, they're pissed off. I dig it because I'm the exact same way. Nets 3-14 against the spread. Last 17 meetings in Minnesota. 1-5 against the spread. Last 6 games after a win. 4th straight road game. Wolves, major rest advantage. 3 straight days of rest. 2-0 against the spread and straight up this year with 3 days rest, guys. It's the Wolves. We raised by Wolves today, guys. I'll go official Wolves -3. We got on it -2 last night. Wolves smacking these guys up. I've been looking ahead to this one. If you listen to the shows, I said it. We're rooting for the Nets versus Spurs because we faded them on Sunday. Giving the Timberwolves in this one simply rest advantage. Let's go.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree here at all. Of course, the Wolves also did cover previously at Brooklyn. We had that correctly going back to like the 7th game of the year, I believe, +9. Of course, this is what we're talking about, these huge line gaps. +9 to -2, you're getting an 11-point movement. They're telling you a story here. This is a great spot for Minnesota. Minnesota has not played a lot of home games recently. I think they've only played 1 in the last 2.5 weeks. We had that correctly. That was a blowout win against Golden State going back 2 or 3 games ago. Of course, they come in here off a road trip and a loss at Atlanta, I believe. And it's a great spot. I couldn't disagree with you. I might make this official later. Again, 8 p.m. A lot going on in the next 9 hours, but this is my significant lead as well, Minnesota here.
The Timmies today, guys. Let's go. Last game up, man. We got the Jazz versus the Warriors here. This line was at 1 last night. It's jumped up to 5. I'm thinking, is Rudy Gobert out? That's the only thing that I can think as far as what's changed from last night. Like I say, line opened up at 1. They tell you it's a coin flip type of game. Both teams 3-7 against the spread last 10. Very lackluster. Obviously playing without some players. Without Gobert, he comes back. Now Mitchell's out. The Warriors, they've been unfunking as well. This is a revenge spot for the Jazz. I do think that possibly without Draymond Green, the Jazz can match up well here. Obviously, they'll need Rudy Gobert, but for me, personally, that's the only way I can look in this one is the Jazz. I think that they'll want this game just like the Warriors won at the last game in Utah. I think that this is the revenge spot, and the Jazz have actually I think they'll play well here in Golden State. Like I say, we need to see what's up with I definitely wouldn't take this without Rudy Gobert, but the Jazz, especially plus the 5, the only way I can look in this one, Shark.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the injury report last night. Donovan Mitchell out, I believe, and Rudy Gobert questionable. There's a lot of elements you need to consider. This is why you don't bet this game at 11 a.m. You have to wait on this one. Of course, Golden State did win an emphatic, impressive win. I believe 123-117 in Utah going back a period of time. So you get the revenge game for Utah. I've been talking about this now for I think close to 2 weeks. Both these teams are coming from a low position. Both these teams, obviously, top 3 in the West. They will be there second, third round of the playoffs. In the West, they will be deep into the playoffs. They've hit a bit of a rut, both. Warriors have been very unimpressive. Utah's been very unimpressive. And this has nothing to do with this matchup. When you zoom out in professional sports, college sports even, when you find both teams coming in off really lackluster stretches, for me, it's hard to pick a side there because both should improve. Just as much as the Jazz will want this, the Warriors know they played like complete trash 2 or 3 straight games in a row. Of course, the Warriors also missing Draymond Green absolutely disrupts their flow. Klay Thompson hasn't looked particularly impressive either. He's going to get into his stride, you would think, at some point. But there's been a lot of moving parts. Obviously, since Klay came back, Wiggins has been out of his flow as well. This is going to be tough. I think the Warriors, as you mentioned, are out of flow, and Utah could get there. This is a tough spot for me, though. 8 p.m., obviously 5:30 Pacific. Bit of a funky time. These guys tipping off in the middle of the NFL playoffs as well. I'm not sure how much that's going to be a distraction for some of these guys. But nothing official for me there. I think, again, they're coming from the same position. It becomes hard to cap.
No, I'm with you on that, man. Jazz, the only way I could look, guys, is go over to the officials. Like I say, we got NFL Sunday. We don't give out NFL plays on this show, but there is plenty of them over there at Wager Talk. If you'd like to get a full package, you can use promo code J1 if you've never used Wager Talk anymore. I mean, ever before, and you can try them out, man. $1 for a full package of plays. Use promo code J1. Head over there to wagertalk.com. Also, I'm looking at the odds screen right now. If you want to compare lines, go to wagertalk.com/odds. Brings up odds from like 10 different sports books at the same time. Make sure you're getting the best line, man. Every half point matters. Whether you're playing the total or size, Shark, break them off with your officials before we get out of here.
Absolutely. One official play. We might have a little bit later. Obviously, a lot to look at. At 3:30 p.m., Boston money line. Anywhere you can get it, 115 to 125. We're looking at a double revenge game. We're looking at a great spot. Basically, what we need to be fading is Washington on this point per game differential. Boston comes in here off 2 lackluster home losses. Washington's lost 2 in a row as well. But the key point is Washington has lost home games to the Eastern opponents in the playoff race. I think that continues. We talked about this all year. They're very overvalued. Boston should come in here and get the win. Consistency to the inconsistency. You want to buy Boston as a short road dog. This is being schemed by sharps mostly. You don't want to back them at home on inflated numbers. It's where you want them, and it's a beautiful day to dominate. January 23rd, 2022. Signing out. J Money is money. Great show. Close them out.
January 23rd, man. Let's get some cash today, man. I like the Celtics as well, man. I got that written down. I'll ride with you on that one. I like the Knicks in this one. I'm taking officially. Give me the Hawks plus the 3, and I'm taking Timberwolves minus the 3, guys. So we'll go official with those. Maybe better line last night for the Timberwolves. It doesn't matter. I don't see it being a big difference. -2 to -3 there. Double-digit win by both of these guys. The Hawks and the Timmies. They're due to come up. They're due to come up right now as well. We're gonna ride the streak, guys. Let's get get some cash. Heavy lean to Mavs for me. Heavy lean to Spurs. Raptors, not a heavy lean, but a lean. I'm riding with the Celtics, and I like the Knicks as well, guys. Let's get some cash. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe. Whatever, do your good luck shit, man. We're going undefeated today, Shark. Don't worry, we're cashing today. And go and follow my guy on Twitter at Sharks and Sports. You can follow me as well at JMoneyIsMoney. Headed to my son's basketball game. We out, guys. Let's get some cash.